And welcome back to the 5 Reasons Sports Dolphins post-game show. I am Louis Sung. That's Michael. That's Kai. That's David. And the Miami Dolphins are now on a 5-game winning streak. Gentlemen, this has been an amazing run. How are you feeling? I'm going to start with whoever wants to start. Raise your hand if you want to start. That's Kai right there. Kai, the floor is yours, my friend.
I'm just happy. I'm happy. It was a nice Dolphins win. I think we saw some good running today. I think that we can be a little bit happy with that. Some runs that I think he was at 89 for a second there, something like that. Ahmed before a couple poor carries coming, but you're trying to run the clock out. But man, it feels good. Think about it this way, boys. This time last year, we were in the Chargers position, essentially. We're above our 2019-20 win total of 5. That was 5-11 last season, 6-3. No reason that what me and David have been harping on for the past 3 weeks and going 5-0 in this 5-game stretch shouldn't be possible. 9-3 heading into that Kansas City game is what it should be.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I mean, you look at the way that that this game unfolded. I mean, Miami took control early, right? And then you had the botch snap by Ted Karras really kind of swung the momentum in the other way. I mean, the Dolphins were on their way to a 21-zip lead early in that ball game before that turnover. And then just they were able to respond. And you mentioned it, Kai. They were able to find something on the ground game today. I mean, they piled up 111 yards. Ahmed got he was close to 100, eclipsing 100, but they kind of stuffed them there towards the end. But he seems to have stepped forward. He had a good yards per carry average. He ended like with 4 yards per carry. But his last 3 carries though were all negative carries because the Chargers were waiting for it at that point. So even then, you look at that, and he was a little bit better, and then. Lewis, your boy Patrick Laird had a great conversion, third down run there. So it was nice to see the consistency in the ground game, and then the defense just came to play as they have every single week.
Well, I'm more happy about my my Nostradamus-like prediction of the Jakeem Grant touchdown. I did not think it was actually going to happen. I just predicted it. It's like, it's going to happen, guys. No, it actually happened. Go figure. Jakeem Grant is quickly becoming one of the top weapons on this football team. And it's so refreshing to see because we've been hearing for years what kind of potential Grant had, his speed, his elusiveness, his ability to make plays with the ball in his hands. And we've been waiting for years for it to finally materialize. Now that Tua is the quarterback, it looks like that's actually going to become reality. So it is awesome to see. I didn't think that and it's the same thing that I thought in the pregame show as well. I didn't think Antonio Callaway was going to actually do much, but you know what? We didn't need to. Jakeem Grant, man. Yep. We have that's where the speed is. Grant somehow with Tua's accuracy, it's a match made in heaven, and I am here for it. I can't wait to see this for a good few years at least.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think for me, the other thing I pulled away from it too, like obviously, Tua didn't blow you away statistically, but he did what he had to do. The defense played very well. But to me, this was the kind of game that you wanted to see them win. And this game proved to me again that we're going a different direction, right? We've beaten teams that we shouldn't have beaten before, right? Both in the Philbin era, in the Gase era, there were those games where we came through, right? I mean, you have that crazy win against the Patriots with all the laterals, right? And the momentum starts moving. And then you go into a game that should be easier or should be more manageable, and you don't show up, right? It's not the same intensity. It's a different team. You kind of lay an egg. This game was one that very easily could have been a trap if you just looked at the record and the way that
it almost was. It almost was.
Everybody was talking about this team. The Chargers aren't very good. They're 2-6. The Dolphins should win. Everybody picked the Dolphins. This had all the makings of a trap game, and you saw that this team was just different. They are built different. They know what they're doing. They make the right plays and the right reads. And honestly, the only thing that I can nitpick about, and yes, we won the game. We don't have to harp on it too long. I think we could have absolutely put up more points if, one, you have that really bad snap, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge 14-point swing. right? Possibly, maybe only 10-point swing, right? If we settle for the field goal, but that's still a big swing going against us. You've also got a couple drives there in the red zone where you get down there with solid passes from Tua, and they decide to run it 3 times in a row, which I mean, I'm not really sure. But the team still got together, still found a way to get this win. This team is going places. It's different. This is not what we've seen before. This is not the same glimmers of hope with some bad things. This team, I'm genuinely excited for this season already, which I didn't expect to be at this point in the season.
No, I was thinking to myself while I was...
Did.
No, and for real, I was thinking to myself the whole time is like, I'm actually having fun watching this football team. And it's been, I mean, Fitzpatrick was fun last year because we had no expectations. And for a while, I didn't have any expectations for this year either. But now all of a sudden, it feels like this can actually be something that's going on. And the Cardinals, apparently they're doing good things and bad things against the Bills. If the Bills lose, then the Dolphins are in a prime position to take control of the AFC East. And that's in year 2 of a rebuild that's technically we're still in the middle of. This is not the final products, guys. That's the most exciting thing of all, because there's still going to be at least one more massive talent infusion in the next upcoming season. And already we're doing this. Can you imagine what the next year is going to be like? Tua's already got these games under his belt. They're going to hopefully get a better center. I mean, all due respect to Ted Karras, this wasn't about his snap. I was already wanting an upgrade at center. I want somebody who can actually like be a real anchor for this offensive line. Somebody like Mike Pouncey used to be back when he was in his prime in Miami. That's what I'm looking for.
But the line opened up some pretty good holes today. Like
a couple of them.
Ahmed got some pretty good runs where it was like, okay, you've got a lot of room, guy. Run with it. And it was like, okay, that was a pretty good hole there, offensive line. I'll give you that one. That was nice.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not going to take away credit for them, but that doesn't mean we just stand pat. I want to keep upgrading. Let's keep that ball rolling, because we got plenty of draft picks to go around still, and there's going to be plenty of money, I think, to go around, because the Dolphins are not going out of their way to pay a bunch of people they don't need to pay. The deals are relatively affordable as they are. I know the salary cap more than likely is actually going to go down this upcoming season, but you know what? That's actually going to work out in Miami's favor too, because now there are going to be a lot of talented players looking for work next season, because these teams are not going to be able to afford keeping them around with the lower salary cap. So this free agency upcoming for the Dolphins is going to be massive for Miami. And let's be real about this. I don't really see a ceiling at this point. They've already been able to accomplish this much with guys like Adam Shaheen and Mac Hollins, and all due respect to the guy, Salvin Ahmed is not somebody that becomes a household name at running back. There's so much potential and so much room for upgrading, and already they've won 5 in a row. They're on their way to potentially winning a few more just in the next few weeks. You don't see, other than the Chiefs, you don't really see a team that this team can't beat. And that's in year 2 of a rebuild. Can we just say thank you, Brian Flores, for doing everything that he's doing, because he may turn out very quickly to be the best Belichick protege that has ever come out of New England, for real.
Probably already is.
To
be honest with you, he probably already is. I mean, it's just... I saw the comment about the 2016, and I'm getting stats and everything else and trying to keep track of the Bills game, so I'm sorry if you see me looking all over the place. But like, I saw that comment about the 2016 season. Even then, I wasn't this happy. Even during that 7-game win streak, I think it was before we got like mollywopped by the Ravens. I think it something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I mean, yeah, I'm happy, but at the same time, it's like there's still so much to fix. Right now, there's a lot to fix, and I think that I've seen a lot of people commented on that, and then on the YouTube, just looking through the comments about Chan Gailey. I know that some people are really happy with Chan Gailey's play calling. I would be one that is on the other side of that. I think when
he was up and down today.
Perfect. Yeah, this comment like perfectly outlines it. When he needs to like put his foot on the gas, he'll do it. But once he has that lead, that 2-score lead, it's like dude doesn't know what he's doing. So probably won't be around next year, but at least for now, like we get to see him. He's developing with Tua. Who knows, Lewis? You look like you are a Chan Gailey stan right now.
I mean, because it's working as it is. That's the thing about it. The plays themselves,
but you want it to work better.
Of
You want
course,
certain things
of
to,
course,
like-
absolutely. But that's the thing. If you bring in a new offensive coordinator, you're not just going to stick with the Chan Gailey offense with just a better play
Right.
caller. It's going to be a completely new
Yeah.
thing. And
Right.
so that's the problem. For
I mean,
me,
eventually
I'm
it's
not-
going to be new from Chan. I mean, Chan's not going to be here for, the long haul when you really think about it, age-wise and everything like that.
I mean, hey, man, I don't know. Who knows?
I
This
mean,
guy,
he came
are
out-
you
he
putting
came
him
out
as
of
dead
retirement.
man already?
Yeah.
But,
I mean, the other thing that you got to think about here is, I mean, look who Tua's playing with. I mean, like,
Yeah.
there has to be a talent infusion on like the offensive weapons side. They spent a lot of time and effort building the lines, right? Which is obviously the way to go. But the next
No
step in that
accident.
process is bringing in those weapons, right? And I mean, we've got 2 first-round draft picks, 2 second-round draft picks. I mean, plus whatever comes free in free agency, right? But I mean, we saw Malcolm Perry today making some plays, and
Yep.
he was what, a 7th-round pick, right?
Malcolm Perry is starting to look a little
gimmicky-
like a Jarvis Landry. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's a good or bad thing right now.
I mean, kind of you thought of him kind of like a gimmicky player coming out of Navy, right? But he seems to have carved a potential role here.
Yeah.
They're throwing quick outs to Mac Hollins on a key 3rd down play.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, Mac Hollins isn't the guy in the huddle in that spot, right? So you would have some sort of upgrade. I mean, I know they had Gesicki and Parker out there too, but when you're pulling in your 4th or 5th receiver and he has to make that throw, so. And then obviously Ahmed coming in, undrafted free agent, stuff like that. I mean, I know that there have been some great undrafted free agent running backs that have been
Gaskins
kinda
back up
unearned.
in Washington.
Yeah.
Crazy,
Right,
huh?
but I mean, I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is that we're kind of right in the middle of this rebuild where we seem to have like fast forwarded the timeline into competitive playoff football, but we're also doing it, minus the weapons that most playoff teams seem to have, at least offensively. The defense, though, is a different story.
I want to say this regarding Chan Gailey, and it's something Alfredo just put in the chat, and I'm going to piggyback off of that. Again, the Dolphins were not like, had 1 score and it was it. They were up by 2. They were up by 2 scores. So the conservative play calling is annoying to watch. It's not fun, but is it really a bad call? I mean, not really. The Chargers never got closer than a 2-point game, or rather an 8. Like the closest they got was putting it within a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, and that's with the conservative play calling on offense. Now, again, this is what I was saying for a long time: is that vanilla doesn't mean bad; it just means it's not fun. Tom Brady runs conservative offenses all the time. Dink and dunk, find the open guy, badoink, badoink, badoink. It's boring to watch except when you're the one who's winning. So if the Dolphins can get a talent infusion and find some actual playmakers who can make the boring 2 score offense work, then it's really not going to matter. This defense it's not like the defense has been trash and the Dolphins have to run up the score. Would you like to see them be more aggressive with 2 scores up? Sure. Is it necessary? Not really. So I'm not mad at Chan Gailey. I would be mad at Chan Gailey if his conservative play calling ended up losing the Dolphins the game. Then I would be upset. But like these
that's a different
circumstances,
conversation. I think the point that you're making, and I certainly think the point that Alf is making there in the chat. I mean, they don't want to put stuff on tape. That we're in a stretch of the schedule where we should be beating these teams, right? And we've talked about that for weeks now. So maybe they're holding back on some of these more sophisticated or fun play calls just to prevent the teams that we're going to see down the line, the teams that we're going to have to deal with for one of those playoff spots or potentially in the playoffs, to keep it off the tape for as long as possible. So it's we get up with those big leads on the D, and then we rely on them, and that's a good luxury to have in this league,
And I don't agree with Ryan's comment here.
Yeah.
It's like the Dolphins have gotten okay. This is how you know that the Dolphins have got better. It's not that the Chargers. Where's your pictures, Manny? It's like there it is. All right. No, listen. I get it. I'm gonna try to be respectful about this because we gotta be better than the people who come out of here and just start talking trash all the time. We're not calling Cowherd or anything. This is why I don't agree with Ryan. I understand where he's coming from. Because you still see the Dolphins struggling at times. It's not a complete blowout at every single moment. You have these moments where it's like, oh, the Dolphins run up the middle, they get 1 yard, they lose 2 yards, they get stuffed at the line of scrimmage. You see this pass to Mac Hollins goes absolutely nowhere. But these things happen. Now you see these guys making plays, though. You saw Tua. If he had gotten that pass to Jakeem Grant, that would have been the highlight of the year.
Yeah, play of the year.
Well, and the Devontae Parker one-handed in the back of the end zone, which we scored a touchdown anyway.
That was a bummer too. It's like, man,
yeah.
This can't get. What happened to the shin rule? What happened to his shin was down, guys.
That's what I was confused about.
Where was the shin rule?
Yeah.
Huh? It's like, nope, doesn't count.
Very confused.
Doesn't count for the Dolphins. Doesn't count. Come on, guys. You know this. I guess like the only reason why maybe there is that frustration with certain play calls is just because I think we all have like that PTSD of the Dolphins being up and then getting conservative and then losing. Like it's just like that's the Dolphin way has always been for so long, where if we're not up by like 3 touchdowns or more, we're gonna lose. You get me? It's just like that has always been like the thing, and so I guess it's also that now we have to get used to the fact that we have a quarterback and we have a coach, and there's too much positivity now. Like now it's just like, okay, now that's the thing. Now there are expectations to win. And I think even back in week 3, we were preaching, me, you, and Michael Lewis were preaching, this isn't a playoff team right now with what's happening. We have to remember that we're in year 2 of a rebuild. And just like that, things just went, all right, yeah, now this is a playoff team. I mean, the defense got it together, the offense got it together, and then right now, as it sits, they're still in that 7th spot of the playoffs. They're battling with the Titans and the Browns. Those are really their only competition, unless, of course, the Bills fall or they get the division. But those are really the teams.
There's still plenty of time for that to happen. It's not like if the Bills win this game, they've clinched the AFC East.
Right. But you get me, like it's the Browns who played a ugly game today against the Texans, and then the Titans who are on kind of a down.
And the Texans still lost.
Yeah.
Listen, I know that this is the debate
that
right
puts
now.
them at 6, by the way. The Dolphins currently hold 6-22.
Yeah, this is the debate right now. I get it. If the Dolphins, if the Texans had beaten the Browns, then the Dolphins would be in prime real estate to get into the playoffs. I get it. But at the same time, man.
Number 6 is number 6.
That top 5 draft pick possibility, man. I don't want to give that up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm greedy. I let the Texans lose out for the rest of the season. I don't care, man. But anyway, I want to address something that Shadow King brought up just now. Had we lost the last 2 games, would you say it was too early for Tua? Okay. This is just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. This is my opinion. I've been saying from day one that I don't care about the win-loss record. I want to see what kind of a performance these players put on the field. If the Dolphins had lost the last, the Bills take the lead.
Stephon Diggs just caught a touchdown. God damn it.
Okay, well, sorry, guys. Have faith in Kyler Murray. Have faith in Kyler. He's got to be upset because he lost to Tua. He's got to get angry. He can't do it. So I'll go ahead and say this. If the Dolphins had lost the last 2 games with Tua as starter, again, I never looked at the win-loss record. My expectations for this season was never playoffs. Now we're expecting playoffs because of the results that we're seeing right now. But if we had lost the last 2 games and Tua put together good performances, I would have said, no, he's doing fine. What's the issue? If that's the problem, is that we play the results and we assume that the circumstances around the team change. If the Dolphins had lost, we wouldn't be looking at playoffs. But are we still looking at a developing football team? Are they getting better? Are they making things fixable? Are they improving in certain aspects? If Tua does well, but they lose, then I'm not upset because this is what we wanted to see. Can Tua play good football? And he is. He is playing good football. Now, if he had laid 3 eggs in a row, then I would have been like, yeah, I don't think it was his time. But that's why I always look at the individual performances of the players and not necessarily the record. Next year, you can look at the record and say what's going on once and for all. or at least you could have if the Dolphins were not currently sitting at 6-3 and potentially in the running to win the AFC East and go to the playoffs. But if they had lost, then you have to look at individual performances and say, okay, yes, we're in year 2 of a rebuild. Is everything moving forward? Are players improving? Or are they all taking steps back? That's how I normally would have judged the season. So, no, I don't think Tua came in too early anymore. My being scared of Tua was getting hurt. Obviously, he's taking hits and he's fine. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's no longer an issue.
He's making tackles, too.
He's making tackles. Well, I mean, he's trying to make tackles. Somebody had to come and help him because he was getting dragged along for a little while there.
I will say, though, with the point that we're at with this team, I'm expecting a 10-win season.
9 should be minimum. They should get into that Kansas City Chiefs game at 9-3.
And I say 10 only because if you win the 9 and then lose all those next 4 games, right? You lose Kansas City, New England, Las Vegas, and Buffalo, right? Then what you're showing me is fairly similar to what we had back in the Adam Gase days, right? Where it was just this up and down team. And when it mattered, they kind of fell apart, right?
Right.
My expectations really are very low. I'm expecting one of those 4 games to be a win. Excuse me. So I would have said at the beginning of the season, if we don't make the playoffs, it's fine. That's not what the season is about. Right. I want to see this team improve. I want to see them get better. But at this point, with what we have and where we're at, barring major injuries, if we don't get to 10 wins, I'm going to look to the coaching staff and be like, what happened when we got up to this point right now? And after this, what changed? What aren't we doing right? Because something has to go wrong in my opinion, something has to go wrong for us to not get to 9 or 10 wins, considering we have the Broncos, the Jets, and Cincinnati coming up.
Yeah, I think 9 wins is the absolute floor. 10 wins is probably the target. And listen, 11-5 is not out of the realm of possibility.
Yep. 11-5 is not a rebuilding football team, if we're being honest.
Absolutely not.
But at this point, we're that term, right? Rebuilding football team. I don't even want to say we're a rebuilding football team anymore. At this point, we're just a building football team, right? We've already got some of the big pieces in place. We're just going to try to make this team better. But at this point, with what you have, especially on the defensive side of the ball and how much money you invested there, we need to see some results. And the defense is showing them.
Yeah.
The defense has them.
You look at what they did to improve the defense coming into this season. I mean, our defense last year was atrocious. And teams were piling up points and yards and things like that. And I mean, right now we've got a turnover in 15 straight games. I mean, I know that's a carryover from last year too, but I mean, we're making stops.
That's big.
You know, they're keeping points off the board. I mean, they've built to go with what you're saying, and I completely agree with you. They've built the defense to the point where it is absolutely a playoff defense. Now it's a matter of, can the offense develop in kind? Like, can Tua get to the level where, you know, he can put up 21 points per game? Because if this offense can score 21 to 24 points per game, they're going to win
past that.
They're going to win the majority of those ball games.
And so you got to think Flores and Greer were probably thinking this coming into the season. They saw something in this team that the rest of us said maybe, but I'm not sure, because they went out and they paid for Van Noy. They paid for Jones. You don't pay for that unless you think it's worth it, right? Unless you think you have a chance. And they're going out and showing what they've shown all along, right? Brian Flores is always going to put the best team on the field to win. He's not going to play for draft position. He's not going to play for, I just want to develop this guy, so we'll figure it out. He wants to win games. That's what they're here to do. That's what they're doing. And at this point, like I said, I'm expecting playoffs barring some major injury or everybody else in the AFC being around 11-5 and we miss by 1 game, right? If we go 10-6 and miss the playoffs, which I don't think would happen.
That would be absurd.
But if we go 10-6 and miss the playoffs, I'm not going to be upset, right? I'm not going to look at the coaching staff and be like, how'd you miss the playoffs? That would just be the craziest circumstances. But that's what I want from this team now. And then in future years, Tua is going to be the one to carry it, right? Because the defense is going to have aged out. You won't have the money for them. This team has to use this window now, like the Seahawks did at the beginning of Russell Wilson's career, and make sure you don't lose any moment. Try to win. And that's what they did with the Bell attempts. Like, that's what they're doing. And this is exciting. I don't know how to feel. I've never been through this before. Like, this is great.
All right. So let's go ahead and talk about this because there's been people bringing up potential upgrades. Like I saw one guy complaining that we have some rando named Savan Ahmed as our starting running back now. We need help on the pass rush. So let's talk about this, and then we will go ahead and call this show. I think because this is probably the last discussion because it'd probably go for a while. So what is it more than anything, specifically position wise? Oh, okay. Everybody's freaking out. The Cardinals just won the game. Kyler Murray.
Whoa, what did they do?
Kyler Murray.
I don't have it on either.
I want to watch that highlight later.
Okay. So.
Holy
Watch it.
damn. Damn. Yo,
there you go. Dolphins. So where does that leave the Dolphins right now in the AFC East? Are they ahead? Are they winning now?
No,
or
they're
half
game back. Half game
game back.
They haven't had their bye week.
So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, the Miami Dolphins are a half game back in the AFC East. It's happening.
Wow.
It's happening. They're going to take
God.
the AFC East because the Buffalo Bills are falling to pieces. That's my official prediction right now. You can book it for this game, for this show, and you can come back and tell me later if nothing goes wrong. I think
there's
the
a
Dolphins are going to
small bobble in the catch, but it doesn't look like it should be enough to call it off. Kyler Murray should have absolutely been sacked. Pulled off a beautiful Eli Manning.
You mean like a Tua? You mean like a Tua today?
I'm giving it to Eli because Super Bowl. But
Okay.
wow. DeAndre Hopkins caught it in the end zone. That would put the Dolphins.
DeAndre Hopkins, you don't say. You mean the best wide receiver in football? I have not forgotten.
That would drop the Bills to 7-3. Dolphins are 6-3, so half game back at this point. The end of the year, that game against Buffalo, that might very well be for the division crown at this point.
Yeah, and this would not be the first time the Dolphins have been in that situation. I remember a while back, the Dolphins had a big game against Buffalo in Buffalo. Tannehill couldn't do it.
We've had several of those. I mean, the 1990s were basically all big games in Buffalo that didn't go particularly well for the Dolphins. So,
I can't believe he caught that. I'm sorry. That was just
all right. So then I guess that's what we're going to talk about then instead. So
the division.
So
that
what
puts them? Yeah, it looked impossible for the Bills to lose that game. They lost. Now I think that saying that, David, that's 100% true. That last game is probably for the division. Yeah. I mean, again, it would make zero sense to me if going into that Chiefs game on December 13th at 1 p.m. the Dolphins aren't 9-3. It wouldn't make any sense to me. And then I think you beat the Patriots at home that next week, even if you lose to the Chiefs or anything like that. Puts you at 10-4. And then Raiders, Bills, those are the last two. And the Raiders are up and down every week. They, for whatever reason. And then the Bills, that's going to be for the division.
Yeah.
It just
listen. The Bills, the Bills schedule going forward. They get the Chargers.
That's a win.
Then the 49ers. Yeah, they're home for the Chargers, so that'll be a win. They're at San Francisco. They're home for the Steelers.
They'll be coming off a bye as well against the Chargers. They have their bye week next week.
Yeah.
And then so after the Chargers, they're at San Francisco, home for the Steelers, at Denver, at New England, and then they're home for the Dolphins. So
I don't know. Based on how they're playing, I'm seeing 2 losses there, maybe.
I really hope that
before the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. Yeah, I mean, it's not a cakewalk for them. I mean, their schedule, I guess, lines up in a very similar respect to the Dolphins a little bit. But the 49ers, I mean, the Dolphins pummeled them, but they've been playing a little better lately. Obviously, the Steelers are 8-0 right now.
Somebody needs to beat Pittsburgh, please.
Yeah, that wasn't me. My thing. It's like if I want anyone, if anything, even if it screws up the division, I just want the Steelers to lose. If it's the Bills, that'll be fine.
We still have our old pride, doggone it.
I don't know. I know there's a lot of Dolphins fans who are like, I wasn't alive back then. It's just like it's a certain prestige. It's just a certain prestige to it. It's like
but I mean, the Steelers then would have to, if they win out the season. Okay, it's been done before.
Yeah, that's been done before. Just got to lose in the playoffs.
I mean, what a lot of people have mentioned is their offense, which is true, is not going to hold up when it comes to the playoffs.
No, I think the Dolphins match up really well against Pittsburgh this year. I mean, Big Ben is a statue back there. Yeah. I think
they're going to have a hard time winning the Super Bowl. I think they're a really good team. but I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk to the Super Bowl if they do go undefeated from here on out. So I'm not worried about that just yet, honestly.
Yeah.
So
Can we get a shout out for the Dolphins special teams? I mean, I know that we've been talking a lot about the defense, and
Huge
talking about the
block
development of the offense, but
Jakeem Grant as a returner, Mac Hollins is awesome.
we got the block punt today.
That was Van Ginkel.
Andrew Van Ginkel.
Van Ginkel got the block punt, right? I mean, Matt Hawk has 62-yard punt that pinned them inside the 5-yard line. I mean, Jason Sanders
from Matt Hawk, which is awesome
yes,
as well, because
Sanders,
Matt Hawk was a little
missed the
inconsistent for a
field
while.
goal, but he was still 3 for 4 today. He hit another 50-yarder. I mean, the special teams. I mean, Grant getting 21 yards at a time, 18 yards at a time. I mean, he almost broke one today again.
Yeah.
If he had
He
a
almost broke
little
one
bit more
twice.
space. Yeah. So I mean, but that's the kind of thing that a playoff team does, right? We're flipping field position. We're moving the offense into a better space. So like we're talking a lot about the defense, and obviously rightly so. But the special teams has made a huge difference this year as well.
Yeah, and it's the lack of mistakes too, right? It's there's no glaring. There was one glaring mistake, right? If anything,
the Ted
snap,
Karras thing.
Yeah.
snap, right?
Twice though. That's the biggest issue. Twice
Yeah, I mean,
on the same
it's
drive.
unfortunate, but it's one of those things where at some point you would have expected a
I agree with that comment.
to
by the
throw
way,
an
sorry.
interception. Yeah, no, for sure. Like you would have expected Tua to throw an interception by now, and I think that's part of. I know this is going way back to our conversations about play calling.
He got really close.
Yeah.
Today.
he got
Today,
lucky today.
Which is funny because he threw that pass, completed it, and they immediately ran the ball 3 times. They were like, "Yeah, no, we're not throwing it again. We're gonna slow it down." Because it seemed like he got a little scared and was like, "Let's hold this back a little bit."
I mean, it went right, like literally through the linebacker's hands. I don't know how that wasn't an interception.
Yeah.
And that other one to Perryman, it was like a volleyball. Just grab it.
Yeah.
I guess that's why
sometimes
linebackers
you gotta
are
be lucky,
linebackers
right?
and not corners.
Sometimes you got to be lucky.
Well, and it's one of those things that I think Dolphins fans are going to call for aggressive play calling until Tua does throw his first interception, right?
Yeah.
Because he hasn't done it yet, so it feels like he's invincible. So it's like, just let him keep throwing it. What's going to happen? Nothing, right? And then at some point, right, like if they had been aggressive and thrown an interception on one of those late drives, the Chargers come back and score, then you'd be questioning, why are you throwing it? Just run the ball. So I understand what they're doing. I just, as a Dolphins fan who has the jersey, who's been following Tua since Alabama, I'm like, nah, just give him the ball all the time. You know what? Let Tua call the plays. If he wants to throw it, let him throw it. Let him pick.
I mean, sometimes he gets that choice, right? The RPOs, he gets to choose.
And he runs a lot. He hands those off a lot.
Yeah, I mean, but you saw the swing in momentum with those turnovers. I know they might be keeping the gloves, the kid gloves on Tua a little bit, but it's a huge momentum swing. I mean, I know it wasn't his fault per se. I mean, they credit him with the fumble, which is kind of dumb, but that bad snap, it flips the game right there in the second quarter. And instead of running away with this one, it was kind of nip and tuck, even though the Dolphins were basically in control the entire time. So that's probably part of the reason why, Gailey hasn't really opened things up, and again, I don't know that they want to put a bunch of stuff on tape for the other teams to prepare for, because the Chiefs are going to be a playoff team, the Bills, and then whoever we match up in the brackets and things like that. So, but it's obviously an exciting time.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me too is I'm thinking, right, because Tua's having a really interesting start to his career, because none of us would say he's really like blown anyone away any of his first 3 games, right?
I mean,
not with numbers, no.
He's not with
last
numbers,
week he
though.
was,
Last
but not
week
with
he played
numbers.
well, but not with numbers, right?
Yeah.
And I decided, I was like, let me see, and I understand it's a comparison that gets made because of their height, but I do think the accuracy should play a part, which is Russell Wilson. His first 3 games, I mean, he threw for 153, 151, 130, had a total of 4 touchdowns with 1 interception, right? It seems like we're building a really similar team to that 2012 Seahawks, right? Where your bread and butter is defense.
The Legion of Boom.
Quarterback, right? We don't have a Legion of Boom, right? Nobody hits that hard on the Dolphins except for Sealer on that one hit on Balaj because he loves Dolphins.
That felt good, okay? That felt really good after all that Balaj nonsense all day. It's like, Kai was like, "Oh, we don't want to hear about Balaj." That's all we heard all game long. I knew it was going to happen.
It was every single
Here's Manny.
snap.
What, Manny? I didn't say anything.
Snap.
The commentators wouldn't let it go, okay?
Every single snap. Kalen Balaj. Oh, look, Kalen Balaj. And Kalen Balaj was released by the Dolphins. He was a free man on the street, and then he got into the Chargers, and there's Kalen Balaj. And I was just like, guys, they called Tua. I missed it, and I wanted to get there right. They were like Tui Tagovailoa at one point. I was just like, what the hell is... That's one thing I would just like to have a little side rant about. What the hell is going on with commentators this season?
No, but
they all suck.
They referenced the Dolphins kneeling during the anthem. They haven't done that since last season. That hasn't even been a thing. And they were talking about how that was an issue for them this year. That they were terrible today.
And the thing that was talking to me, wasn't it Brian Gumble, right?
Greg Gumbel.
Or Greg Gumbel.
Are you talking about Brian Bulaga?
That's the thing, though. You actually have a very experienced guy calling the game. So for him to make those type of mistakes shows you that these guys really don't
annoying.
Yeah.
He called him Tui. Like, I was just so confused. I was like, and on top of that, like, it's like they don't. There's a video of him saying it's Tongo Vailoa, and everyone keeps going Tago Vailoa, Tango Vailoa, and I'm like, there's a video that you can watch of him phonetically saying his name. Like, I just don't understand things.
Yeah,
but the Balaj, I hated that Balaj, and then the case that Jason Sanders went up, and he's perfect for this season. It's like eventually the commentator curse is going to happen. He's going to miss. Like, it sucks that he did. But
did anyone think that he was?
For real, did anybody think he wasn't going to miss the whole season?
So. Not at
this is what I said. At the very least, his first miss was not a crucial miss.
Right, no, he's not
going to decided by that miss.
He's not going to miss crucial kicks, though. And I know you spoke with his kicking coach. He's Jason Sanders is automatic. The dude he's going to be a Dolphins kicker for a while.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy about. Okay, so last thing we're going to talk about before we call this show, it was back to what. Back to Lucky Patterson. Who's your pick for the best free agent acquisition? I already know who mine is going to be, but I'll go ahead and let you guys go first. Manny, since you're hanging out.
Why are we talking off season though? Like,
we're not talking off season. We're asking who's the best guy we brought in this year.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Manny, would you like to talk about it?
Not me first.
I would go with Ogba. Emmanuel Ogba. He's been a revelation on the defensive end. 8 sacks, 6 games in a row with a sack. I mean, he had a crucial, tip pass on a third down conversion when the Chargers were driving. I mean, Ogba has been a force on that defense, as we were talking about before. I think he's probably the one that I would say right now as kind of the standout free agent acquisition.
I mean, for me, listen, I am still going to say Byron Jones. I understand that he had a bad game last week, but listen, he was brought in here to be the other side of X. And when a defense has those two type of corners and their abilities to shut down, sides of the ball when you're on defense and let your guys up front create work and everything else just in the back end just flows better. I just feel like, like I'm saying, like a cornerback is not going to have 10 sacks in a game, right? He's not going to have 10 tackles, but he's going to have plays where, the quarterback was looking at his side at least, maybe 15
he had a huge play today as well.
Yeah, so the quarterback's going to look at his side 15 to 20 times a game, but he didn't throw it, and that's not going to show up on the whole game stat sheet. So that to me, it's still like a big thing.
Yeah, I think for me, number one is obviously Jordan Howard, right? Like, I mean, you can't run any better than that. 0.9 yards per carry, that's insane to me. Number 2, obviously Ted Karras, right? I mean, if you can snap it that lowly to the ground,
you keeping a straight face right now is shocking.
1A, 1B.
No, but I agree with Manny. That's what
it's a free $5 million for Jordan Howard right there.
I was gonna say Byron Jones just because We can't hear you, man. You're muted.
We're not talking contracts. Like I understand. Oh, come on.
Damn it!
There goes Kai's camera.
Oh,
No.
Still hear him though.
I feel like for me it was Byron Jones, because you saw the difference he made when when he was able to actually be on the field and other teams just could not pass the ball well, right? We saw that Bills game without him. That Bills game without Byron Jones was pretty bad. And when he's on the field, and even last week, right? We can say that was his worst game as a Dolphin. That was really 1 to 2 plays that blew up and got a lot of attention, right? The deep pass. But for the most part, he's still playing fairly well. I mean, think about it. Xavier Howard, what did he have last year against Amari Cooper? He laid a giant egg in that game against the Cowboys. It happens from time to time. But Byron Jones shuts down his man and is on that side of the field. And there was one play early on in the game. Jalen Guyton's running over the middle of the field on a 3rd and 12, I think it was.
Yeah.
And Guyton was going to get the first down, and Byron Jones catches up to him and makes the tackle before he gets there. That's a really big unsung play that people aren't going to look back on because, it's 11-yard gain on a 3rd and 12. But if he doesn't make that tackle, if he's not fast enough to do that, that drive keeps going. They get some momentum. I got to say Byron Jones was a great pickup for this team.
And listen, guys, I think Adrian here says it best. Ogba, obviously, but Byron is the most important. That was basically where my comment, where I wanted it to go to.
And that's
Lewis, who'd you pick?
That's my case, Byron Jones. But I get the Ogba has been the most productive.
You've been outvoted, David.
But the best guy.
Wait, it's plugged in. Wait, hold up. This is malarkey. I literally replaced the battery just now. With
you really want that attention? Okay, you're staying on with no signal. Wow.
I mean, I guess the best part about it, when you look at the defense, those two things they work together, right? So Ogba's being productive.
Ogba's being productive as a direct result of Byron Jones doing what he is doing. That's why he is, as far as I'm concerned, that's why Byron Jones is the best. That's why. But you look at
the other side of it. I guess it's all. I mean, they're all symbiotic, right? So the rush has to get there. The rush has to pressure the quarterback, which allows the corners to make the plays on the back end. To prevent to prevent it all from getting away from them. But I mean, listen, they hit on all those defensive guys, and even the Alf mentioned it too in his comment just there. Eric Flowers has been a big pickup too on the offensive
That was
line.
another guy I was thinking of, because I mean he's really helped anchor that side, right? Like we've had some movements going around. Eric Flowers has been in his spot most of the time, and I'm not worried about it. I'm really not. I'm just like, Eric Flowers, do what you got to do.
For sure, man.
Yeah,
it's incredible what this team has done so far, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do next week. All right, guys. So, any final thoughts before we call this a show?
I mean, next week they're going to Denver. It's not going to be an easy place to play. I know the Broncos got their butts kicked today. Drew Lock was terrible, but that's the one. That's actually the one that felt a little bit more like a trap game to me, because they'd be on the road. They have all this momentum, so they're maybe feeling themselves a little bit.
Right.
So
literally,
they have
literally,
to.
Tua.
They have to get
what is all this? What is all this, Tua? What is all this?
So it next week feels a little bit like a trap game for the Dolphins on the road with a rookie quarterback. So they've got to come to play next week. I mean, the good thing is Drew Lock isn't an amazing quarterback, so you feel like they have some advantages there, considering what Brian Flores and Josh Boyer have done on the defensive side of things. So but it is absolutely a trap game, because they're going to roll.
Still healthy, right? Von Miller and Bradley Chubb are healthy, right? They're still out there.
Oh, Von Miller's out, right?
Oh, is he out? I was.
Yeah, he's been out, I think, right? With an ACL injury.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Then, because if Von Miller and Bradley Chubb were healthy, that's a defensive line. That's a defensive front I'd be a little worried about. But if he's out.
Well, Von Miller says that he's going to be, quote unquote, good to go in a couple weeks. That was a couple weeks ago. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that carefully.
Yeah, that's okay.
So Von Miller may be there. We're not 100% sure on that. The only thing that I would say at this point is that as long as this team just continues to develop and show improvement in every aspect, I don't see a ceiling for this team, especially after next year's talent infusion. So, Mike, Kai, any final thoughts?
I wish I didn't break my HDMI cable from my camera just now. That's what that's my final thought. It's about to cost me like $20 at Best Buy. Great.
Good job, Kai. Good
my
job.
final thought is gonna be let's just enjoy these times, man. Like this is it's hard to be a team with no expectations or very few expectations and be where we're at right now, right? And let's just be happy with it, which I absolutely am. But obviously, let's still expect playoffs. Let's still expect bigger things. But we're 6-3, beating some good teams with Tua already out there way sooner than a lot of us would have anticipated. Let's just keep riding this wave. Let's just trust the coaching staff as we've done. They're going to keep making the right decisions. I'm just happy to be here, man. It's like that Paul Rudd gif, right? Like who would have thunk it, man? Not me. Not me.
Who would have thunk? Not me.
Who would have thunk? All right, guys. So thank you all so much for joining us. And for those of you who picked Kalen Ballage's above the upper on Kalen Ballage's fantasy points, you guys are the big winners at prizepicks.com. So again, 2 to 3 to 4 players that you can pick on fantasy sports, and you can win big, and you can use the promo code 5 FIVE and get up to $100 on your deposit. Thank you for watching this show brought to you by Prize Picks. We will see you all next week for another pregame and postgame. Good night, folks.